Well, plant 2023 has commenced. We started yesterday, got some wheat in the ground. I just finished the first quarter of wheat. Things aren't going super smooth. Not a very good situation. So this is a summer super weeder 70 footer and great tool, but we can see here it's not doing too hot. We've had this thing for many years, it's done great, but today we had a guy kind of driving down the road and he was way too far off to the side and this thing tipped over. I don't even know what happened. I wasn't here when it happened. We just got to figure out a plan and move forward, but this is like our main tillage tool that keeps us going this time of year. So it's not a good situation, but you know, second day of planting, I guess, could be going better, but you know, you just got to keep going forward through this and make it work. Well, we got some heavy recovering experts here, so we're gonna loop this around and get it back to the farm and get it there until Summers can come take a look at it. Welcome to the Red River Valley of North Dakota. A land flowing with milk and honey. You're watching Beet Farmin Mitch. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're keeping it sweet out there. This is Beet Farmin Mitch, and it has been a heck of a spring so far. As you can just see, we lost our big main tillage tool, so that's been a pretty tough loss this spring. That's really pushed us back some, and we've been having to go really hard doing tillage. And if you aren't caught up on your tillage, then you can't plant quite as quick. So we've been really running hard here these last couple days. What happened was we had a tractor going down the road with somebody driving it, and I don't know if they just were looking at the radio or whatever, but just drove straight in the ditch with it and it rolled over. It happens, but obviously it's a pretty big loss for this time of year. We can't afford to have things like that happen, but we'll make it through. We'll get through it. So in the meantime, we're kicking it back to the 70s here. We got our Melrow multi-weeders running. We've got two of them. Well, actually we have three. We got a 40 footer, a 36 footer, and a 30 footer. And these are just little light tillage tools. This is like a great spring tillage tool. This is the same as our big one that tipped over in the ditch, except this one is older and smaller. It's just got little Danish S-tines on there, followed by a simple harrow section. So it's just, you know, going a couple inches down in the soil, just kind of scratching the soil up and just kind of making a nice seed bed without going too deep and bringing chunks up. We don't want to chunk the soil up. We just kind of want to scratch it so we have a good seed bed to plant into. This field here is going to be corn actually, so we'll probably run our harrow packer on this and firm it up a little bit and then plant corn into it. And we are spread thin. We are short on guys, we're short on tools, and we're pushing hard. Cooking 40 feet at a time. You know, these things for their day, these are classic today, but I tell you what, back in their day, this would have been a heck of a tool to have on your farm. 40 feet, I mean, imagine, back in the day, my ancestors, a long time ago, I mean, they farmed with horses, and I'll find horseshoes out in the fields every once in a while. Actually, there's an old yard right there, and I remember my brother found a horseshoe when we were cleaning up like some trees and scrap there one time. So you can still find them, which is actually like pretty amazing to think about, that like my ancestors came over here and started farming with horses a long time ago. And that really wasn't that long ago in the grand scheme of history, so it's crazy to see how much agricultural technology has advanced in the last few years and how much larger the equipment has gotten. So I'm a family farmer up in the Red River Valley of North Dakota. And speaking of that, one thing I love about farmers being on YouTube is you can see what different areas around the United States and the world, for that matter, how agriculture is there. And so we grow quite a few crops up here: wheat, corn, soybeans, sugar beets, pinto beans. There's guys that grow potatoes. It's a pretty unique area. So if you're interested in seeing more of what that's like, be sure to subscribe so you can see what farming looks like here. But I think it's about time for a morning drone flight, so you better get your aviators on. pretty smooth. Got to see some shelter belts. You can see how the snow kind of drifted in and built up there. And those, I mean, shelter belts help protect against wind erosion, but they catch a lot of snow too. So that was kind of a drawback this winter with those, because we had a lot of snow this winter. I gotta cross over a coulee here and go to some kind of funky shaped little pickle patch. It's the only way to get to this piece. The piece is dry. I don't like crossing through it with the mud and stuff and leaving ruts, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So what we do in the spring typically is when we start a field, we'll do a lap around it and then do it, just because sometimes on the edges you can get some weeds that build up. You can see I've already gone through this, but there's still some weeds stuck in the ground. Well, this one's not. Oh, that one is. I believe this is field pennycress, or what is this? Some kind of thistle? Field pennycress, I'm pretty sure is what this is. So the thing with spring tillage, you don't want to go through wet spots in the field. I mean, if there's a tiny little square, sometimes you just kind of got to go through it if it's just a little damp, and it'll gray off and you can plant into it. But what you don't want to do is keep circling around in wet spots, because that'll ruin the soil and you're not going to have plants come up there. So you get one shot pretty much, and then you got to let it gray off and you can plant into it, and that's about it. So there's a little damp along the edge here, but that'll dry up. Well, I finished up this little pickle patch back here across the coulee, and gotta cross the coulee again here. I'm gonna try to leave it down just a little bit to kind of level some of these ruts out so that the water can keep flowing through here, but gotta make sure I got the diff lock on, and here we go. Gonna be a little soft. Might have to feather her up. It doesn't look too shabby. Well, I'm just folding her up here, we're done, and can't remember exactly which button it is to switch to the air seeder, but I'm pretty sure it's this one. Oh, would you look at that? We're in the air seeder. Planting 2023 has commenced, and I'm putting wheat seed in the ground. But I'm feeling pretty famished. I think I need a snack quick. The snack of the hour, we have, you know, I've had the tuna salads. Well, we've got a chicken salad one here now. Chicken salad kit. Pretty similar to the bumblebee tuna kits. We've got the chicken salad, the crackers, and of course, the spoon. Alright, let's get the chicken salad a whirl here. Personally, I think I like the tuna salad kit a lot more. I mean, it's good. It's not, you know, I mean, the tuna salad one, that one's really good. It's never fishy and it's delicious. This one, it kind of reminds me of, like, if you ever buy a can of Campbell's chicken noodle soup and they got like little chicken squares in there, it kind of reminds me of that. But hey, I've been pretty hungry for about an hour now. I've been hanging on. I have been hanging on to this chicken salad kit to try it with you. So thank you for joining me. Well, I suppose. I think it's drone time. I can do about 90 acres on a fill, and about every time I like to fill, I like to do just a quick walk around just to make sure all my hoses are plugged in and nothing's broken and whatnot. So I am running the Case Magnum 340 road track. I tell you what, this thing's a beast in the field. This thing performs very well, nice smooth ride, and great traction for pulling the air seeder. I'm very pleased with that tractor in terms of performance in the field. And so back here, we have the air seeder, right? So you can seed, well, we use it on our farm to seed wheat and soybeans. So back here is where you hold your commodity or product or whatever you're gonna be putting in the ground. So there's actually 3 tanks back here. I've got wheat seed in the first 2, and the back one, starter fertilizer. So it's a very complex machine, but it's pretty simple at the same time. So how it works is that the seed and the fertilizer we can set, and we have to calibrate them down here, and then we can just set kind of how many pounds per acre we want of each of those. And so what'll happen is there's those meter rollers underneath here, so they will get metered in. That's the fertilizer, those are the seeds. They'll get metered into these hoses, and then there's this fan back here. It's just idling right now, but when I'm running, it's spinning at like 5,000 RPMs. And that fan shoots the product through all of these main hoses here. These main hoses go around, and here's one here that comes up into this manifold deal, and this splits off into all these little hoses, and see, you've got one individual hose right here going down to there. So this is the seed sensor. So if the row is plugged or something from mud down there, or if something's not right, that will go off in the tractor. There's 64 rows on this thing, 7.5 inches apart. Well, it looks like a field of grass when it comes up. So there's 2 sections. There's a front section and a rear section. So the seed and fertilizer will mix together, blow down this. There's a little seed tube there. So this disc opener here is slightly angled, and this is the depth wheel. This determines how deep you want your seed to be planted. You can change it with this handle here. And so this will blow it into the furrow after it opens up, and then these closing wheels will go over the top and kind of pack down the furrow good. So that is how that works. I forgot to mention, I'm in a sunflower field now. Sunflower ground is kind of like beet ground, where it can be kind of dry, but you can see once you get down there, there's good moisture down there. So I'm just gonna check real quick. Just want to make sure all my hoses are plugged in, because the sensor is right there. So if this is unplugged and it flails around, I won't actually know. Okay, those look good. So yeah, once every fill, or about whenever I need a bathroom break, that's when I check it. Yep, things are looking good here. But I'm gonna check my seed depth here quick, and then we're gonna get cooking. So if we take a look here, this is a depth checker. It's got in inches there, and you just kind of find your row, you just kind of sweep, and eventually you'll find some seed. There's some seed and fertilizer down there. And that's in good moisture, and that's not too deep by any means. You also got to account for your hard spots in your field, and also like the spots where you go over tire tracks. It's just not going to be as deep. So you want to make sure you're in good moisture. So you can see there's good moisture here. When you can see that dark color, that's good. Oh, there we go. So you can see a wheat seed in there. Looks like a couple of them. It's probably 1.25 inches right there. But you can see how this is good moisture here, and it's not dry dirt like this. You don't want your seed going into dry dirt like that. Sometimes when it doesn't rain, that's just what you got to do, but we've got good moisture right now. That was a river. Looks more like a lake. The rivers are still backed up a little bit, but it's draining. You can kind of see the cool pearlescence in the sky there when the sun starts to go down. It's 9:54 p.m. and we still got a little bit of sun, so that's pretty cool. Nothing like the post-farm day ride home. Put some good tunes on and enjoy the next 15 minutes. Well, we made her home just after 11 o'clock. I always want to eat first, but I know I should shower. Well, everybody, thank you for tagging along with me today on the tractor and riding along. That was fun. That was a good day. We got a lot done. A lot of acres covered, and now take today, multiply it by about 20, 20 or more days of planting. So if it goes well, so probably more than that. So with that, this is Beet Farmin Mitch. I am tired. I'm ready for bed. But don't forget to keep it sweet.